Hi, Heidi here. I haven't done a video showcasing my DIY projects for quite a while, so a lot of these you may have seen already, just from outfit videos and such. But I will show you them in more detail and explain a little bit about them as I go along. I'll show you things that I made entirely from fabric first, so it's just bits that I've cut out and put together myself. First up is this. I guess you can technically call it a skirt. So this one I made in time to wear for Meraluna. Can't remember what year. And I was actually inspired from something that I saw being worn by one of the characters in Mandalorian. Although the original skirt, I'll see if I can find a picture actually, and I'll just put it up so you can see. But I was inspired by the kind of the shape of it. Obviously this one that I made is much shorter. But yeah, that was the kind of general first inspo for this skirt. This fabric I just bought because I like the look of it. I didn't have any specific plans for it. And this front mesh panel, this was part of a top. It was some sort of swimwear top that I found in a charity shop a while ago, and I decided just to cut this fabric off. I felt like the mesh fabric would be put to better use on other items. Oh, I did actually make some little armband things from the rest of the fabric, yes. And then the kind of attached felt bit, which is essentially the waistband. I made this from webbing and just a plastic buckle in the front. And then these are metal, just with a black coating on them. And initially I left them just adjustable because they're the kind of sliding bits, but just because of the weight of everything, it didn't stay in the position, so I just sewed it down. And from wearing it, I did find that it kind of twists around a little bit, because I was considering sewing these bits down because it just moves through it like that. But I think I will just leave it as is. For now, I may adjust it again in the future, but I just wear it over leggings or with shorts underneath for everyday wear. And a lot of the time I tend to put a label into the stuff I make, just with the date that I finished it on. But because I was making this in time for a festival, I didn't actually end up doing that. So I may have to work out when I finished it and add a label in, because I quite like to have that in there. Otherwise I do forget when I made them. So it's just nice to be able to see how long I've had something for. And I forgot to mention, both these skirts I did include in my first part of my wardrobe tour, my updated one. So if you've seen that, then you've probably seen these already, but I like to go into a bit more detail in these sorts of videos. So this one I made out of lots of bits of scrap fabric. The main body of it is this knitted fabric, and it was originally a vest that got washed too hot, and so it shrank, and it's the fabric sort of felted like this. But then I ended up making this out of it, so I'd say it worked out very well. And then the poppers here, or snaps, you know, whatever you call them where you are, these were just down the front of the vest, so I repurposed them as the closure. And I also put a hook on either side at various points just to keep it a bit more closed, because of course there is a bit of a gap between each popper, so it was gaping a little bit when I was trying it on and just seeing how it went. So I added those on. These hooks were actually from a pair of like lingerie sock things that I got from Ann Summers a very long time ago, and I just didn't really wear the socks very much, so I repurposed the hooks for various things. I've still got a few left. 'Cause. Other bits of fabric here. I've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 different pieces of fabric. These are lots of this bit is just black socks, which works really well for this sort of post-apocalyptic kind of look. And then I distressed some of the end, put a bit of paint on this one as well. And I do wear this one more in winter, even though it's a mini skirt, just because of the fabric. So this one I did make a label for, and obviously because I'm British, I have the dates the correct way around. So yes, the 29th of December 2022 is the day that I finished this. And I just put Hazardous, because obviously that's my username, so I just thought that would be a fun little thing to have as the label. And as with most of my handmade stuff, I just hand wash this. This top I made a bit more recently, but it's using the leftover scrap fabric that I didn't use for the skirt. So again, it's a lot of the felted merino wool, and also used some of those hook and eyes too. Even though I didn't make it as a matching set item, it kind of looks a little bit like a matching set if I wear it with the skirt, which is quite fun. And for this, the strap design on the shoulders, I was inspired by a cop capine top that I saw on Depop, and it was, you know, wildly overpriced, as these things are. But I really liked the shape of the sleeve, and even though I didn't recreate it precisely with this top, it still got the kind of general feel of it that I liked. I really like the kind of design that I did on the back, with all these little blocky bits. And when I originally made this, I wore it for a little photo shoot that we did in an abandoned castle, which was really awesome. I went for a kind of wasteland elf sort of theme for it. However, whenever I try things on, obviously I just kind of pull it on, look at it, take it off. So the original top, because I have actually added a bit more onto this, the original top was quite short, and looking back on the pictures, there was a fair bit of underboob going on, which, you know, I'm not complaining about, but that hadn't quite been the idea for this top. So I did add a bit more onto the bottom, just to avoid that issue. And this one, again, I did a label for. So this one I finished making on the 19th of August 2023. The next two items were another thing that I made, well, that I finished in time to wear to a festival, again Mariluna. So this one I used another of my tops as a kind of template to make the pattern for. However, what I didn't accommodate for with this top is the fabric difference, because the one that I used as the pattern is very stretchy. So of course, this fabric not being stretchy, when I made the pattern, I didn't really make it the right size. However, that did mean that I ended up coming up with this design in the back. So obviously that was like the difference, where I didn't add enough fabric for, but then I just added more of the same elastic into the back, like so. A lot of the time when I'm making things, I just kind of dive headfirst into it. I never ever make a mock-up. Mainly because if I did make a mock-up, then like that would be all of my drive to make the thing gone on the thing that isn't the thing. If you get what I'm saying, maybe not. But yeah, essentially I don't make mock-ups because I only make one thing of everything, and if the one thing I make is just the draft of it, I end up not wanting to make the real thing, because in my mind I've kind of already done it. But yeah, it does mean that I end up having to think of creative ways around a problem, but then I actually prefer it that way, because then I wouldn't have come up with this design otherwise. And I did contrast stitching for this, and it is UV reactive, all of these green bits, which I absolutely love. And again, it's the same fabric from that skirt that I showed you a short while ago. And this one unzips in the front to do it up. So of course the plastic zip is part of the design. And the side panel here is a different fabric. It's a kind of stretchier fabric, which was originally a pair of shorts, I think. And this green elastic was a pair of suspenders that I bought in a charity shop. It is supposed to be worn this way around, I think, when they were suspenders, but obviously it's much better this way around. So I just flipped it over, and I also, because this fabric is quite scratchy and uncomfortable, I added this cotton webbing around the seam where I've obviously folded it over, so then the fabric, the scratchy fabric, isn't upsetting me. And this is another one that I didn't end up making a label for, so I'll have to kind of work out again when I finished it and make them for it. This is my final fully handmade item, and it was made to go with the other top. This fabric is an offcut that I had laying about, which is why it's so short. I mean, obviously I still like it as is, but had I had more fabric then it would have been a bit longer. But anyway, I love how it turned out. So the offcut was from a dress that I had turned into a top. Have I shown you that? Actually, I'll show you that as well, because I don't think I've actually put that in a video. Yeah, so here is the top that was originally the dress, and yes, it's the, so you can see it's the same fabric. For this one, I also did this to the shoulders, and it's a size small, Max Studio, but when I first tried it on, it was really tight and taut across the shoulders, because I have quite square shoulders. So to rectify that, I took the shoulder out and made it a cold shoulder, I believe the term is, and I prefer it so much more like this. And then I just chopped it off, and as you can see it's fraying a bit, so I will need to actually hem it properly. I mean, it's gone a long time without me hemming it, so it's quite impressive. I do also need to kind of take it in a bit, just because it kind of sticks out weirdly in the front. I think it's just because of the shape of the panel in the front. So yeah, I do need to do another bit of modification to this again, but I've got so much more wear out of this as a top. So back to the skirt. The fishnet on the sides is from a top that I bought on Depop. It's just one of those cheap fast fashion fishnet tops. So I just used a tiny bit of it for the panels on the side, and I put some elastic through the little waistband at the top, and around the hem I put this black plastic zip all the way around as a fun feature, and then it's just got a simple plastic lip in the back. Again, no label. Now we're on to clothing items that I've modified quite a lot. So to start, we've got this fleece. This one I did actually buy from an outdoor shop, brand new, which I don't normally do, but just because things like, I don't really see fleeces in charity shops, like ever. I don't really know why. Yes, because at the time we were moving up to Scotland, and I didn't really have that many properly warm things, so I needed something that would be a really good insulating layer. So originally it was just a really plain like V-neck fleece, and the inspiration for this top, as it is, was another copcabine item, but for this I cut out the collar quite a lot, so it's just on the edge of the shoulder, and for the lower half I cut it off and then remade the lower part just so it was more fitted around the waist, and I added in these plastic zips as a really fun feature, and the kind of silhouette was inspired by that copcabine top. So it's still a really nice warm practical item, but it looks so much better now, I think. It's got that kind of subtle sci-fi look to it. I mentioned in my wardrobe tour video that I was going to be doing something with this skirt, and this is the final product. It was originally a maxi skirt. I cut it and made it into a kind of midi skirt with a removable lower section, and then I decided just to wear it as is. I haven't done anything yet with the lower half of the skirt, but I will be doing some sort of DIY with that at some point. So for this skirt, I came up with the idea of adding this webbing with the plastic rings around the bottom, and I still kept the poppers on, so I can just remove this section and I can wear it as a plain mini skirt if I want to. And of course it makes it easier to wash, to take these bits off. I did spend quite a lot of time faffing about with this, because originally I had started off with these bits being much longer, but I didn't really like how it looked proportionally with the longer version, so I remade it to be like this. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's just such a statement piece now, but of course I can still make it a bit more of a simple item by taking these off. So again, more versatility. Now this is a skirt that I made from a pair of jeans. I'm sure you've seen various videos of people doing that to their jeans, and it's quite a simple thing to do, straightforward. Although with mine, I didn't really want to have pleats the whole way around, so I did a few at the front, but then because of this stiff fabric in the back, I had originally done a pleat, but it was sticking out really weirdly, so I ended up just kind of sewing it down. So I've got this panel there in the back, and yeah, I much prefer the shape of it like that. And then with some extra leftover fabric, I made these straps. Again, those same adjuster things. But with this, I think I will actually do a bit more modification, because obviously at the moment these bits stick out, and whilst I do like that look, I think I would prefer it if I were to sew these bits down. I'd probably just sew them down about here, so they'd still be a little bit sticking out. So yeah, I will still be doing a bit more modification to this, but I wear this so much now. The final two items I showed in my latest thrift haul, and I did mention that I'd been modifying both of these. So this is how they turned out. This skirt is that maxi skirt that had the mesh panels, and I basically just cut all of the mesh panels out. So it's more of a kind of overskirt now. I just kind of wear it with leggings or shorts underneath, because I took out the lining as well. So it's essentially just the knitted part left, and I love it so much now. When I wear it, I tend to like tying these bits together, so it just looks a bit more styled and intentional. So it looks amazing for a dystopian kind of outfit. This one was a really simple one, just lots and lots of chopping. And finally we have these shorts. If you saw the thrift haul, you will know that they were a little bit too tight, because they're not stretchy at all. So the fabric that I mentioned from a skirt that I bought, I added in a side panel just there. So it only really needed an extra inch each side. That really did the trick. And then I also took off the front pockets, just because I felt like it would be better with something a bit different going on in the front. So I kept the poppers that were on the pockets, and I put in this panel here of the same fabric just to kind of tie it in a bit better, because otherwise it would have just been on the side. You can still kind of see where they were a little bit, but that'll fade once I wash it a few times. So yeah, now I've got these kind of really big belt loops in the front, and I can just take them off, so if I want to, you know, add anything in to hang off the front, then I can do that. Now they look very sci-fi, very cyber, and I just absolutely love them. One thing I think I might change again though is just in the back. As with most jeans and shorts, it's got a bit of slight bagginess around the waistband in the back, so I may add another panel in of this same fabric. And that was everything for this video. I do modify a lot of my own clothing, just because if I can make it fit better, if I can make it look the way I want to, then I will. I do tend to prefer making modifications to existing clothing, just because making stuff from scratch takes so much time. I think it's good just to reuse clothes that already exist, even if you are changing them to fit your wardrobe. I would like to make more videos where I'm showing you the whole process of me modifying something start to finish, but that's just not really possible for a lot of things, because if I had to film everything that I was doing, then I just wouldn't really get it done. So when I can't really show you the whole process, I quite like to show you just the finished result. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.